All right, we're ready to go.
Thank you. This is John Krueger, President of the Estes Valley Library District Board of Trustees. We have with us tonight board members as well as our program and operations staff, Claudine Perot, our library director, Sarah Walsh, and our guest, Uli Keeley, who is our auditor. Uli, we're going to do a little bit of other business first. Am I getting feedback?
Maybe we'll just have everybody mute except for the person speaking, John.
Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, so we also have some other staff with us tonight around the audit and finances, and so we'll move ahead. It is now 6:31 p.m. on Monday, April 18th, and call the Board of Trustees meeting to order. We have any public comments that have been submitted? None. All right, thank you. Then we'll go to our consent agenda. That includes the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting from March 21st, 2022, income and expense year-to-date report for March 31st, 2022, and the annual collections report that was part of our study session on April 7th, 2022. Could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Lynn moves. Is there a second?
Second, John.
Pete seconded. All right, thank you. Anyone have any items that they would like to remove or have edits on? I see no one seeking that. If the board members would unmute, I'll ask for a verbal confirmation of approving the consent agenda by aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, I believe it's approved unanimously. Okay, tonight we're going to have a couple of presentations. The first one is our staff introductions. This is the program and outreach team, and we'll invite Claudine to make any lead comments that she'd like to.
Thanks, John. I'll be quick. We are so very pleased. We have the program and outreach team, which just a year ago, if we look back a year ago, had 2 members. And we are so glad to have the complement we do today. We have some really skilled people to introduce to the board. John, they were invited, and if they made time, that would be great. But everyone knows now they have the chance to look at the Board of Trustees recording to meet the trustees. And so I hope you all have a chance to do that. And I am very pleased to turn this over to Catherine Weedley, the supervisor of the team. And just as before I do, I'm sorry, Catherine, this is the 4th of 5. So you've met the 4 staff teams, and then next month, we've invited the Friends and Foundation Board to do the same. Sarah, thanks. I saw you sent a little reminder to your board. Okay, so Catherine, thank you.
First of all, I'm Catherine Weedley, and I'm the supervisor of the programs and outreach team. And on behalf of the programs and outreach team, I really just want to thank the board so much for all that you do, your hard work, your skill set, and the fact that you utilize all of these things on behalf of the library, on behalf of our community. We're always amazed at the things that you do, and we just really, truly appreciate it. And I just want to get that said up front and make sure that everybody hears that. And also, Sarah at the Friends and Foundation, we're also really gracious for everything that you do, but we tell you that a lot. We see it. All right, Joanna, you want to go to the next slide? Okay, great. So this is our program and outreach team, and you'll meet everybody individually. But we've got Melanie Kozlowski, our lead youth librarian, Eric White, adult services and civic engagement librarian, Brad Magetti, our technology art librarian, and Brianna Vegas, our youth services librarian. All right, so this is me. I'm supposed to, I guess we're supposed to focus on our icons, which are covered up by my Zoom, but I think the first one is travel. So I'm just going to say I love to travel, and I've been to 32 different countries. The farthest and most exotic country I've ever been to is Laos, and we were in a city called Luang Prabang. I have been to all but 5 states in the United States. I'm originally from Detroit area, and I moved to Colorado in 1990. My next icon is dogs. I love dogs. I don't love cats. I've had many dogs in my life, but my current dogs are both rescues. I have a Siberian Husky Pug mix, which is known as a Hug. And then I have an Anatolian Shepherd, Anatolian Shepherd, St. Bernard mix. And his name is Floki, and he's 150 pounds. My third icon may not be as obvious. It is prepping. So I'm always ready for the end of the world. Not always ready for breakfast, but I love prepping. I'm really looking forward to September being prep month. I've recently learned hunting. I have hunted antelope and pheasant, and have been learning a bunch of survival skills. So that's who I am as a person. So if you have any questions, let me know. But if not, we can move on to our next staff member.
Hello, nice to see everybody. Just a little bit about myself. I love the outdoors. You probably have heard that before from other people. That's kind of why we all end up in Estes Park, whether it's going for walks or hiking or talking my husband into playing pickleball or cross-country skiing or snowshoeing. I like to be outside. I wish I had, sorry. Oh, I wish I had that world globe that Catherine had, but I've got another one in its place. It looks like a cake with a heart on top, and that is because there is no traveling this year except for just very minor trips. That is for an important reason. My one and only daughter is getting married this year, so that's our big family event. She's getting married in January, and we're very excited for it. And my third icon looks like an audiobook. I do love to read in all sorts of different genres. It might be children's books, or teen, or historical fiction, memoirs. I sample, everything, science fiction, literary fiction, lots of different types, and nonfiction as well. I do read physical books, but my favorite is audiobooks because I can get through so much more. So that's a little bit about me.
Hey, Melanie, and
Yes.
Catherine, everyone else, you can talk about what you do too, because what you do is important. I was simply saying to give more time to the icons. I'm sorry, I wasn't more clear. So if I don't know if you want to amend, or what you said is wonderful. I just wanted to make sure you all knew it's okay to talk about what you do for a living.
Sure. So a little bit about what I do. My favorite day is a day I get to do story time. I get to do that 3 or 4 days a week. And I've been doing that for a while. Yeah, over 20 years doing story times, and I love it. So I will say that.
Hi, I am Eric White. I'm the Adult Services and Civic Engagement Librarian. So maybe a little bit about me before I talk about my icons. I've lived in Estes for about 3 years. Before that, I was a visitor and occasional resident. My parents have lived here for a while. I grew up coming here on vacations. Before the library, I worked in the tech industry for a bit and then took a long break. During that break, I moved back here. The library has always been my favorite town institution. So I'm really excited to finally get to work for the library. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've lived in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Hangzhou, China, and Mexico City. Icon-wise, the first one is mountain biking. I would say I feel no greater sense of freedom than when I'm on a bike. The second one is hiking, which I think just about everyone around here enjoys. And the third one is spoiling my dog. So I kind of adopted a dog while I was in Mexico and then brought her back. She's a little 20-pound terrier mix, and she's a terror. And yeah, I think that's about it. So my work revolves around programming for adults in the community and civic engagement. So I'm really excited about both of those things. And yeah, and just want to thank the board again for all that you do. And I'm excited to be here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brad Magetti, and I am the Technology Arts Librarian here at the library. So nice to meet all of you. Thanks very much for having us. I'm kind of new to the area. I moved to the Front Range in October of last year and started working for the library about 3 months ago. Prior to that, I was a volunteer makerspace guide, and that's where you would find me in the library on most days, working in the makerspace, helping patrons make their dreams come true and connect with each other to find the maker in everyone. Yeah, it's been really great. I really love the area. I also love the outdoors. I came here from Northern California and the National Park Service. I also love my dog. Lots of dog people seem to be drawn to programs. I'm also really into fly fishing. And when I am inside during the winter when the weather's bad, I enjoy building models. So that's that last one that we made there. That's me doing a little layout. So I hope to see you all around the library, and thanks very much for having us.
Brad, where did you work in Northern California?
I worked at Redwood National and State Parks in Crescent City, California.
Cool. Know it well.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Brianna Vegas, or Bree Vegas. I'm the Youth Services Librarian here at Estes Valley Library. I've only been with the Estes Valley Library for about 7-8 months now, but I have about 7 years of library experience under my belt. I also love dogs. And so that's my first little icon. And I also love to travel. I got to travel out of the country for the very first time just last year, and I'm hoping to make it a tradition to visit somewhere new every year. So that's one of my goals. And I love listening to music and audiobooks and podcasts in my free time, as well as on my commute up the mountain each day. For my job, I really love working with the age group that I have. I work with 6 to 18-year-olds, which when I first started seemed like a huge age group because, as many of you know, there's a big difference between kids and teens. They kind of evolve like caterpillars and butterflies. So it's been a really wonderful challenge being able to work with this age group and adapt to this library and just really watch everyone do what they are so good at doing.
Okay. Thank you all very much. We usually open it up to any of the board members now to ask you any additional questions about your background or so forth. So board members, if raise your hand or unmute, ask a question or make a comment if you'd like. I guess I'll start. Oh, Pete has his hand up. Okay. Can't see you. You're in the dark now, Pete.
I know I'm hiding from my grandkids, or you'd be hearing them.
Okay.
I'm curious. Maybe this is a question for Claudine or anybody on the services team, but I don't know you all, or I'm sorry, I don't know your product as well as I should at this point, having only been on the board a year. But do you all, when you come, especially the new hires, when you come to the library, does it happen a lot that the services you've done before, the experiences you have before with libraries and things like that, do you try to integrate those programs with our library, or they just take your skill sets and work on existing programs? If that makes sense.
Pete, I'll let them answer each individually. Thanks.
Great. So for me, I've been in libraries since 1997. You always take your skill set with you wherever you go from whatever you've done before. But then you localize it to current community. And I think that's what we all do. But anybody else is welcome to say what they do.
Jen. Coming from a library just down the mountain, it was very easy to adapt a lot of what I used to do there and kind of bring it a little bit here. For instance, I know that graphic novels have been hugely popular. Graphic novels, comic books, manga have been very popular amongst the youth down the mountain in Loveland. And I communicated with our circulation team, and they said that a lot of the books that teens tend to request from other libraries through Prospector tend to be graphic novels, manga, and whatnot. So I made it my own personal mission to expand our collection, and that collection is actually going to be going live on May the 4th for a little punny May the 4th be with you. So we have been really fantastic about being able to adapt to outside ideas as well as just growing internal ideas and kind of reviving what things were started, such as the Wagging Tails or a therapy dog reading program. That was something that we did in Loveland and that we had started to do here in Estes just before the pandemic. And unfortunately, the pandemic shut it down. And we are so happy to now have Therapy Dog Bo available for kiddos to read to. He has been hugely popular. So, and if you guys want to see Therapy Dog Bo, he'll be at the library tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I could add something to that really quick. So this is the first time I've ever worked in a library. I have a pretty varied background. I grew up in Michigan and sort of did a lot of different things. One of the things that I did was work in machine shops and manufacturing, which gave me a bit of a background that I found use of in the makerspace. But the majority of my career was with the National Park Service doing education programs and interpretation programs. And I would say that a lot of that experience has been applying in a major way at the library, specifically the way that I've found new ways to connect people to the makerspace in the library with the experience that I had. That's basically what I would do, is connect people to the park and to each other while they were all visiting the park. So that sort of experience, all the soft skills around working and leading groups of people and learning new things. I was a river guide, so I taught a lot of people how to paddle for the first time. Sort of the practical skill set, not only connecting to the library, but also the Estes Valley as a whole. So that's how it's worked for me so far.
Thanks.
Yeah, I feel like I should also chime in a bit. So I am a brand new librarian. As I mentioned earlier, I worked in the tech industry for a long time and in different places in the DC area, and then in China, and then remotely from Mexico. And I would say, so this is a new library world is a new world for me, an exciting new world. But a lot of the kind of problem solving skills, so one big part of my job is civic engagement, and some of those problem solving skills and getting to know folks and thinking through decisions and trade-offs. So some of the things that I did in my previous life have definitely carried over here. And so I'm enjoying applying those skills, but to kind of a completely new domain.
Great. Appreciate those comments. Melanie?
Yeah, I'll just say, I've been with the library a long time, but I did come from early elementary teaching. And so I came to the library a long time ago with a little girl going to story time. And when I did that, I saw what was happening at the library, and it was so exciting because I loved children's books and I loved learning about the brain and development and things like that. And when I saw what was happening at Estes Valley Library, I thought, I want to be part of that. That looks like a lot of fun. And so I was fortunate to get on with the library and just to bring that to the library too. So I will do Storybook Explorers, which does, I'm just really involved with helping parents get those resources to get their children ready for school. So that's a really big passion of mine.
Great. Thank you, each one of you, for sharing those things. I would like to express that the program things that we do are such a huge part of our vision of bringing our community together in many different ways. And the work that you do is very important to the library and to the community. And I hope that especially those of you that are newer with the library will stick with us and experience some wonderful things involved in the program and outreach. Anyone else? Okay, you are all welcome to stick with us and watch, but I suspect it is also your time off. And so if you wish to leave, that's fine. Our meetings usually take about an hour in total. So I hope you have watched and learned a little bit about your Board of Trustee individual members as well. And we will look forward to seeing you at programs and in the library. Thank you again.
Thanks, John. And you'll see them all on Wednesday
I will be there Wednesday morning.
for staff development.
Okay.
Everybody have a good night.
So we will move on. And Uli, if you would like to bring your video up and you're unmute, we're going to give you your opportunity to share with us with regard to the audited library financial report.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. This was all very interesting, by the way. I did listen to all of it. I could not step away. So very great staff you have there. Very passionate. I am here to present your 2021 audited financial statements. We did do field work fairly early this year in February, and audit went really well. We issued a unmodified opinion, and I just want to say thank you to Cindy and Claudine, who are just rock stars. They are so good in getting the information to me that I need, and it was clean. We made 2 minor adjustments at Cindy's request, which weren't material, but she decided that she wanted to have it just right. And so we did make a couple of corrections because she had asked me to do that. But other than that, it was a wonderful, easy audit, no issues, no findings, no concerns really on my end that I would have, had to do a formal written management letter. I mean, there's little things here and there that we, as the letter even says, that we discuss while we're doing the audit, but nothing that I would say is a significant deficiency or a material weakness in the terms of the audit world that would warrant me to communicate with the board on. So having said that, if you have had a chance to look at your financial statements, you will see for the general fund on page 3 is your balance sheet, page 5 is your income statement for the general fund. And you will see there that you've had a really good year. Again, your net income for the year is about $428,000. Your fund balance at the end of the year in the general fund is 2.9 million, 2,946,000. And that's substantially, it's all in cash. So a very healthy balance sheet, very healthy fund balance. Very good. And then just a couple of things on your budget to actual statement for the general fund. That is on page 48 of your audit report. And you will see there that your projected budgeted revenues were pretty much right on target with your actual revenues. The variance is only $15,000. And you actually expended less money, $1.8 million than what you had budgeted. And we had talked a little bit about this already. It's largely due to having open positions that remained unstaffed, unfilled for a good portion during the pandemic. So,
Yeah.
It was budgeted, but if you don't have the people to take the job, so I would imagine that will look a little differently in 2022.
We can certainly hope.
I certainly hope for all of you, because I know everyone works really, really hard, and it would be nice to kind of share a little bit of the load with some additional staff. So that's for sure. Other than that, anything else you have questions on or would like me to kind of speak to a little bit more?
Well, we'll open it up and first ask the Finance Committee if they have any further comments around what you've shared. David?
John Uli expressed it very well. The accounting is where it needs to be. I mentioned to Cindy that there's now a standard, but it's the standard that she wants to achieve every year. And it's going to go that way. All the tools are in place. I did mention to Uli for getting the audit done so quickly. It made it happen tonight on tax day. So I have to admit that I have not read as thoroughly as I should, but also pointed out that there's been a little change in the format, nothing significant, but the opinion section is a little longer than it has been in the past. But in the second paragraph, it's quite simple. In our opinion, the financial statements present fairly the respective financial position in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. That's what we want to see in an audit. And all the comments in the management letter were positive, as kind of, I would say, unusual. Claudine and Cindy didn't give her any trouble. But things like that. No, again, it all went very smooth. We're just really happy with the relationship. And again, look through it, but most things are positive, as she stated. Very little changes, and only at the request of Cindy to get everything right. So we're all pleased. Kay, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, okay. No? Okay. Uli, since last year we didn't have some of the separation of duties that we had talked about at the previous year's audit. Do you have any comments around that? And are you aware of the new hire that we have?
Yes to both those questions. We did have a good discussion during the Finance Committee meeting. Yes, Cindy had mentioned she has a new employee, and we did talk even during the audit and in committee about the separation of duties. And Yeah, it's a small organization and it is very difficult to have good separation of duties. But I believe that there are, with this new employee and everyone really being aware and understanding what it means to have good controls, that I don't have concerns from an audit perspective. So I know Cindy and Chloe, they understand what it means to have good separation. They understand what it means to, make sure you have checks and balances, and you have, different people doing different things and checking each other's work. And I believe with having an extra person with Cindy is absolutely the step in the right direction for a number of reasons, not just for the internal control aspect, but also, Cindy is the only person that knows how to do everything in relation to your financials, how to pay an invoice and how to run payroll. So, it's, what if something happens to Cindy?
It's good to have backup. Yes.
It's good. It's good to have backup, and it's good to have someone else trained that can, step in a pinch if something's going on. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Cindy, are there any comments that I'm sorry, Kay, you have a comment now?
Yeah, with regards to that, Cindy, maybe you can just share very briefly kind of the plan that you have to implement some internal controls once, Janet becomes more familiar with the environment.
Sure. So my plan, and what I've already talked about with Janet, is I would like her to first learn the processes I have put in place, always with it in the back of her mind, maybe ways to better those processes. And then I did give her the whole history on how we did an RFP, trying to get an internal auditor, and all the processes we went through, and that our main goal is the segregation of duties and having a level of review. And what our plan is, as she learns the job, to develop processes and procedures with this separation of duties and level of review, and get them documented. And then we'd like to present them to Uli and ask, how are we doing? What can we do better? How can we change this up and make it better? But we're going to see what we can come up with first during this year, give Janet a little time, and then toward the end of the year, work with Uli to make sure that we perfected it. So that's the plan.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other board members have any comments or questions? We will take action shortly on the audit report, but if you have anything you want clarifications on, that would be a good time. I see no one. Sarah, I'm going to ask you if you'd like to share with regard to the audit of the foundation, Friends and Foundation, that Uli also did.
Sure, all went well. Thank you, Uli, very much, making it very easy.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, same thing. This was also the second year of the foundation's audit, and very, very easy, smooth, very clean. No issues there either. So very, very happy.
John,
good audits.
While we have Uli, did you want to address the question of why my salary is not shown on the Friends and Foundation 990? It's been an issue that's come up a few times. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uli can address it or leave it to another time, or.
Yeah, I think that's up to your board, particularly unless the auditor has some opinion on that. I think it is, personally, from my perspective, it would be desirable to have it there for full disclosure purposes for donors. But Uli, if you have a comment about that.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. However, Sarah is actually not an employee of the foundation. Her salary is paid by the district. And where it starts, then I guess where the confusion comes in, because the foundation does make an annual contribution to the library, and it's my assumption that part of that is the cost of Sarah, amongst other program and outreach and what have you, expenses and things that the foundation covers. So off the top of my head, I don't know where I would be able to disclose that on the 990. I mean, I can certainly look, but it wouldn't be where you would traditionally see the executive director, which would be with the board, on that one disclosure.
Okay.
There may be other ways where, you can.
So if we handled that reimbursement from the Friends and Foundation in a different manner, would that help? They do pay the entire amount, and we have tried to start separating the salary and benefits portion, that's Sarah, versus the donations and grants. But is there some paperwork that would help with that?
Well, I mean, how you structure that internally, that would be up to you. Like, you could structure your annual, or the foundation could structure the annual giving, or the request from the library should basically then just, have it divided out and say, okay, we are requesting X dollars to cover, the executive director's salary, benefits, what have you, payroll, taxes. And then we are requesting so many dollars for these programs, so that it would be identifiable. And then we probably would have to record it differently on both books. I mean, it's something that you'd have to think through.
Well, we would appreciate any guidance and assistance from you. The only reason that the foundation's executive director is paid by the library is so that she can receive benefits.
Right. And that makes
part of our benefit program.
Yeah, because, if you were to switch that all over to the foundation, it's more trouble. I mean, you would have to set up, withholdings, you'd have to set up all these different accounts to pay workman's comp and unemployment insurance and you name it. I don't know if it's.
I was actually president of the foundation when we first hired the position, and did not want to do all of those things, the foundation,
I don't blame you.
And the expense associated with it. And that's why we worked with the library to have this kind of configuration. But again, I think it's important for donors to have full disclosure. And we have had a few questions asked from town people, about the relationship and how it shows up. And so we would like to try to have that as clear and unambiguous as possible.
John, it would almost have to be done in a different way. I've done plenty of 990s, and Uli's exactly right. It would be logistically very cumbersome and wouldn't show up where people would expect it. I think the disclosure is appropriate, but it's just logistically hard to do on a 990 with the current setup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I would just have to kind of look through all the guidance and kind of see, okay, what options are there within the 990. I mean, a simple option is just as part of the narrative, which would end up in one of the schedules way in the back. But, who reads through 35 pages of a 990 to get to that last page? I don't know. I mean,
a few donors, big donors sometimes do look at things like that, but not many. You're right. Lynn, I thought you maybe had a question or comment?
Well, I thought we had discussed having the invoice, the request that Claudine makes early in the year and the invoice that we send late in the year separate out the reimbursement for Sarah's salary and benefits and such, and then the programs and services that were being supported. Did that happen this year?
But
That
yeah,
will happen this year for the first time. It will happen this year. Yes.
Okay,
but
so
that
the,
still doesn't solve the 990 issue,
right.
apparently.
But it would be a start to at
Yeah.
least then have, and it would have to be more like a reimbursement request and not actually a donation. It would really almost have to be an invoice that would have to come from the district to the foundation to, basically invoice the foundation for Sarah's salary and benefits.
Okay.
And then do the true donation separately.
Separate. And that's what we plan to do this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that
All
would be
right.
a start, and then we can figure out where to put that on the 990.
Okay.
The next step.
All right. Very good.
Sarah,
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad you brought it up. This was excellent timing. Thank you.
Yeah. It's good to get that kind of clarification. Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments around this, especially questions for Uli? I don't see anyone. Okay. We don't need to take up any more time on that then. Thank you very much, Uli.
Thank you.
As the public now, you're welcome to stay or not. The next action item is going to be to approve the audit.
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Uli.
Bye-bye.
A pleasure. Bye-bye.
Okay, we will move to our action item since we've just had that discussion. We have before us the 2021 audited financial statements. David, could I have a motion to accept?
Well, John, I'd offered in the finance committee that I could just go ahead and read the audit tonight to the trustees. I take it you don't want me to do that. Don't worry.
How fast can you read?
Don't worry. They dissuaded me of such action. So,
okay.
John, I move that the 2021 audit as presented by auditor is approved by the trustees.
And a second.
It is an acceptance, John. It is not just for
Yeah,
little Robert's rules
we
here.
are accepting receiving the
Okay.
audit report.
You
Sorry.
cannot reject it, is the point.
Right. And the second?
Second it.
Okay, Pete seconds. Thank you. If there are any specific items with regard to the audit now that you wish to bring forward, it's your opportunity. I hope everyone has gone through at least a cursory review of it. I would remind the entire board that this is one of our primary responsibilities in the fiduciary area of governing the library. I see no one seeking to make further comment. Again, I'd ask you all to unmute and vote with an aye if you accept the audit report.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed to accepting? It is accepted unanimously. And thank you very much to Cindy, Claudine, and the Finance Committee for the work involved in this.
Excuse me, Cindy, will you surprise the state and send that in soon, or because I doubt they're used to getting audits submitted this soon?
Yeah, I'd like to get it off my plate as soon as possible. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Friends and Foundation are happy to have theirs well before their May 15th deadline. Ours isn't until June. So it's nice to have them ready and can be submitted beforehand instead of asking for extensions, right? Okay. We will move on then to the rest of our agenda. Strategic discussions and reports. I have two items with regard to Government Affairs Committee. The first is I would very much hope that the board is prepared to start meeting in person at the library with our May board meeting. I asked Claudine to send out the information with regard from Larimer County. I don't think the situation can get any better. Quite frankly, I think to some extent we're going to have, just like we have the flu with us always, we're going to have some aspect of COVID perhaps with us for a long time. We will plan to meet in person for the May board meeting. We will meet in the Hondius room. It will be set up such that we can socially distance, and anyone that wishes to wear a mask is invited to do so. It is important, I think, for us to start being a bit more open to allow the public to join us if they wish to. So that will be the plan for our future. We will not be having a study session in May. That's been canceled, as you're aware. The other item is on Wednesday, while the staff are all having a training session. And because of that, I get to share with the League of Women Voters Forum on the special districts that they're going to share. Their primary focus is on those districts that have elections of their boards. We don't do that, but they've invited us, as well as the fire district, to share as well. So there's 5 special districts that we'll be sharing together Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. And if you're not a member of the League of Women Voters, you can contact them or go to their website and see how to log on. Hopefully I can adequately represent the library at that time. I didn't ask Lynn in advance. Lynn, did you have any items that you wanted to bring up tonight?
Just related to the community needs assessment. So when you're ready to move on to that.
That's the next thing. So Kay and Lynn, whoever's taking the lead, please share.
Sure. You probably remember from last month that the initial contacts that Claudine made reaching out to potential providers for the community needs assessment, the responses, shall we say, were discouraging. Since that time, Claudine has spoken in more depth to several of the potential providers, outlining what is it we're trying to do, what are our goals, what discussion have we had on process, what's our budget, what's our timeline, and actually has gotten feedback from several of those providers that they will be interested in providing proposals. The response to the budget and the timeline basically was, it's tight, but it's manageable. One proposal has just come in half an hour before our committee met today. We're expecting to have all the proposals in by early May. We'll meet at that point as a committee, see if there are questions that we need to pursue with the providers, but we should. I'm going out on a limb here and trying to look at Kay and Claudine, and that doesn't work so well in Zoom, but assuming that we expect to be able to make a recommendation at the next board meeting.
That would be great if that's possible, but we'll understand if not quite ready.
Yeah.
Depends on other people sometimes.
It does. I do think that we'll have proposals in that we can review. It's sort of how many questions do they create and how much time does it take to really sort that out. I do want to thank Claudine for reaching out to those providers and probing a little bit on what was going on with their initial response, and maybe getting up a little interest from them and getting those proposals. That'll be great. And hopefully we can move forward next month and then be prepared for the strategic planning process in the fall.
Great. Anything to add, Kay? No? Claudine, anything to add or comment? Okay. Appreciate it very much. The efforts that you're making to move us forward on this. Okay, Finance Committee, anything additional Treasurer Hempel.
Not a lot, John. We were able to meet the operations specialist Janet a little bit at our meeting last week. We are having some discussions about being flexible with our meetings because when the second Monday falls before the 10th of the month, all the numbers aren't in, and it really presses Cindy for time. So we're going to be flexible in how we move forward and maybe even alter some meetings to accommodate that so she can present full reports. Other than that, we went over the usual monthly financials, and we're just getting ready for the audit. So.
Okay. And as far as when committees meet, that's up to the committees along with Claudine and any other staff involved to determine, just like we moved the government affairs meeting to a Tuesday, just work together and decide when the best time is. And while it's always nice to have them on the same day of the month, it is not required. So feel free.
Pardon me, John. Finance Committee, you didn't want to highlight the Colo Trust yield?
I did. Thank you, Claudine. Yeah, go ahead and finish that, though.
No, please. It's for you.
I don't have the number in front of me, but the Colorado Trust return went up significantly to like 0.4
226.
126%, which is actually reflected already in the percentage of the budget for interest and fees. It's already like at 50%, I believe, if I remember. So it's already paying returns, but it's a significant jump in that rate.
We try to find the victories where we can, I believe one of you said. So I'm just making it possible to share. Thanks, Mr. President. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Kay, you unmuted. Did you have something to offer there?
No.
So I have. When I saw that bolded, I went to online and to look at what CDs are doing these days. So 10 and 13-month CDs are getting over 1%. So I don't know if that's something the Finance Committee, you had talked about that previously, about possibly moving at least some of the funds into CDs, especially from the long-term reserve. So, and if they're less than a year or right at a year, I'll leave that to the Finance Committee to bring forward if you wish to, but you might want to look into see if we can do even better than 0.4.
Can I make a quick comment?
Yes, please.
Even though I'm not part of the board.
No, please.
Every time I call the banks on CDs and I hear those kinds of rates, when I let them know we're a government entity, we do not get those rates. Really? All the rates I was being quoted every time I called matched what we were getting at Colo Trust, the 0.0025 and then 0.0.
Really?
We could not get the regular rates, but I will call again though, John.
No, that's interesting. I'm wondering why.
I will add to that because we've had that conversation in our Finance Committee meeting, and I went to one of my bankers that I've worked with for years and years, and she said, we are not even eligible to buy CDs with them. So I questioned it too.
Okay.
So
I know we have had a CD in the past, so I'm curious about that. But
anything you can tell us, like where?
Well, I can go back online. All I did was go online asking for rates, and there were two different banks that showed up.
Okay.
But they didn't, it wasn't government entities specific, so I don't know about that. Okay.
Well, John, we will continue the discussion and continue to see what the best possibility is.
Great. So Cindy, was it with a local bank that you were talking or someone else?
Oh, I would call all the local banks.
But only the local banks, not national banks.
And Wells Fargo. I didn't reach out too far because I don't know what entities,
Okay.
I didn't
Fair
reach
enough.
out too far, but they were
Okay.
all saying no, we would get the business rate if anything, but it's not what they advertise online.
Okay, gotcha.
And John, mine was a national.
Yeah, okay. Appreciate it. I was not aware. Okay. Anything else for Finance Committee? We seem to be doing quite well. Revenues coming in pretty much as we normally expect. So it will be interesting on the tax side, the specific tax elements, if people start buying more cars and boats and that sort of thing, which is a big part of that tax item, if that increases again this year or not. Okay, we'll move along then. Library report. Claudine.
Thank you, John. Before we move on to the first quarter operating plan, I have the admin report, and I just wanted to highlight a couple of items. I really want to thank our fairly new circulation, or what we call patron services, customer service supervisor, Linda Wisniewski. I asked her to put together a brief summary of her recommendation to me as to what to do with our high value items, since we knew a couple had been stolen. And so I really want to thank her. She's the one who did the field study, checked with library colleagues across the state. She's the one who worked with the police. She's the one who worked with restorative justice. She's the one who observes and has conversations with patrons saying how valuable it is. And that is her recommendation at the bottom of that. So I just wanted to really thank her for the report, and I'll do my best to answer any questions you might have about it. But I thought that was the most interesting part of the admin report this month. The second part was a bit of me being maybe with words slightly apoplectic about some of our lack of staff retention. And to let you know, Joanna and Cindy and I have dusted off the report, the survey we did in 2019 when we started the process of thinking about staff retention. I regret I did not stay the course during COVID in terms of becoming a land baron and doing what I see so many other investors in town doing, is that when something opens up, you just buy it and worry about who's going to live in it later. So we are going to come back to the board shortly after we've resurveyed the staff and looked at what some of our colleagues are doing for staff retention in general. There's a lot to say about staff retention in general, but the focus right now on the cause and effect of housing in the Estes Valley for our workforce. So happy to answer or discuss, Mr. President, to any length on those two topics, and to answer any questions about the report. I mean, we could talk about Dolly. I love Dolly. Could talk about her all day. It's around the corner. There's so much to say about it. My thanks to Sarah, who has lined up significant funding to support the project. Thank you, Sarah. So we can start on the heavy note, maybe end on the joy note.
Okay. Well, first off, anyone have any questions about the first topic around the Chromebooks, thefts and so forth? I too appreciate very much the effort that Linda has gone to and the report she's given. Please pass that along. Was not aware that we were having this kind of problem, and I think we need to be. I'm glad that it's felt that it's a key offering. I'm sorry that it's causing the concern and the problems that it has. I don't know if there's a way around it or not. So, anyone else on that one? Okay, so on Claudine's staff retention item, I think it's something that we perhaps need to give some further very serious considerations to, including perhaps the government affairs with Claudine needs to talk to the town a little bit more about this issue and whether there's a way forward beyond buying housing for staff. I'm surprised still that the town and hasn't approached businesses and so forth to try to put in some kind of a shuttle service between the valley towns and here for workforces. That seems like a much less expensive approach to try to help the issue out to some extent. So I think we might have something to take forward to the town board as well, or administration. Anyone have any comments there? Thoughts? Nope. Okay. So the Dolly Imagination Library is going to start up this month or next month. Is that right?
Starts up, we can begin registering people at the end of the month.
Okay.
And then books will begin being mailed. Actually, it takes 6 weeks, so it'll be June, but the PR, John, will really be heavy in May.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
And I really want to give Melanie and Kelly Pemrick, who you met, she's on the patron services team. She took this on as her own project. She too, you'd be surprised, Brad, who you met tonight. Actually, also, he didn't mention his background in early childhood education. We have a number of staff with that skill set, and Kelly is one of them. She was originally at the YMCA in their childcare in the Bennett building. And so she's one of those people, sort of like Melanie, who is fantastic at the story time element, but also fantastic behind the scenes. So Kelly's been the nerdy paperwork filling, bureaucracy and phone calling. And I know it's really not worth your time. This is so operational, but thank God we had someone who said, I'll do that. So it's ready now. And as you saw, we're the first in the county. And we're probably among the first in the state getting ready.
Marvelous. Yeah, Len.
Claudia, do we have an estimate of how many kids there are who would be eligible to participate? I know they still have to sign up, but.
We do. And I'm sorry, I don't have the number in front of me. I can look while we go to something else, but I believe it's between 400 and 500 kids.
Oof.
And that's 5 zip codes. And we have minor work to do with Lyons as a neighbor. And then I think we touch Fort Collins, the Poudre River as a neighbor. And we're happy to start paying anyone in those zip codes. It's not as convenient as just exactly our legal service area. Mm-hmm. So we're working through all that. But that's the number, Lynn, between 400 and 500.
That's great. Thank you.
So we have patrons with library cards to our library that are in Meeker Park and Allens Park. Is that correct?
The short answer is yes, John.
Okay.
We consider
so will
them,
they be included in this count?
The count is considered by, it's in your PowerPoint for Wednesday, John. The legal service area for the library is not actually our library legal boundary. Okay. It is measured by the state, by the school district boundaries. Okay. And that's true across the state of Colorado. So there are reasons. One of them that I understand is it's the one way when you think of city, county, and district library services, the easiest way for the state to designate is by just saying, okay, all you libraries, we're just looking at you through the lens of the school district. So John, when we look at Meeker, okay, are you saying, so Boulder County?
Yeah.
Right. They don't pay taxes
Right.
to our to the library district.
Right.
However, they're within our legal service area. We do not have to serve them, but as you all know, we do, right? We treat them as regular patrons. However, for years, we've kept them designated separately until such time, I'm going to crawl out of this hole in a second, until such time as Boulder County, which they're thinking about finally after all these decades, of their own countywide library taxing district. That's when things will shift. Until then, they are our beloved mountain extended family who don't pay taxes.
Right.
To anybody.
Sarah, unmute.
I just wanted to mention, we do solicit them for donations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
So the Dolly World, it's a, as you know, international foundation project. and it's being organized by the state. So that we have a number of hoops to jump through, but then the patrons won't see that. They're just going to fill out the application, and their kids are going to get really high quality free books mailed to their home. That's the bottom line.
Right. Which is great.
Yeah. And we, as the library, will pay $1 for each book. $1. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Off my horse. Sorry. I'll mute.
No, that's fine. We appreciate it. This is good news all the way around. Okay. You want to move to your first quarterly report then?
Yes, sir.
Unless did anyone else have any questions on any of that? No. Okay. Go ahead.
You don't want to ask, does anybody not love Dolly Parton? I mean, do we need to go? How far do we have to open this door? Okay.
No.
John, the first quarter strategic report, the feedback I've received from board members, formally and informally, was, is there a way to get it more concrete and more focused on the outcomes? And I really want to compliment the staff. Every one of them did a terrific job of just focusing on what is the performance measure and what is our progress on that measure. So I'm not sure there's anything on this report I need to pull out, but I'd be very happy to answer any questions.
Good. Yeah, when I read it, I try to get to the progress report portion, because we've read the other parts previously, hopefully. So open it up. Any questions, comments about any aspects? Okay.
Claudia, when you're looking at this, what do you look at and say, yes, it's working, and no, this isn't working? Just briefly.
Hey, you asked some months ago about the specificity, I think, I don't know if that was the word you used, of some of these measures. For example, why did I ask the staff to such micron detail to say how many programs they would do a month? And I would agree, that's an unusual ask on my part. And that was because, as you know, we had 2 out of 6 staff members on that team. And even when we had more staff members, it was COVID, and things got very mushy. So when I look at this, what I consider success is we have these incredibly creative new employees. The first 3 goals are really program and outreach team. And they're not just doing creative quality programs, they're doing voluminous creative quality programs. And so for me, that's a fundamental level, so that next year I need to see a program a week, or this a quarter, or this a day. For example, I don't know if you know, but our Makerspace month in March, are you aware they did a program a day? And that for us is, that's really high bar. Mm-hmm. So usually I'm a quality metric person, but I am so excited by the quantity that I'm seeing here. So to me, I'm seeing a lot of success on that measure. Okay.
Okay.
You asked
what are you concerned about?
Well, I know because I didn't budget for it and I didn't ask them to, I am concerned still about our services to Spanish speakers. So that's not on the program and outreach team. I want to make that really clear. I held back on the position this year, and at the same time asked the team to focus on bilingual story time. And it just made things confusing. Okay. So that is in the works. Catherine and I are talking right now about how to, we have room in the budget to hire, but I'm a little concerned about who and housing and so on. But if 1/3 of our incoming kindergartners speak Spanish at home, we are overdue at the library to have a Spanish speaking story time partner to what Melanie does. So that's what I'm concerned about.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Others? I'll jump in for a moment then. On the kits, we're getting a lot of variety of the kits, both Makerspace and others. Have we had any difficulty with loss with regard to those, since we brought up the Chromebooks?
John, I will have to find out and get back to you. I'm unaware of the larger products there, but I'd love to put something with just a 90-second background into context. What revealed the Chromebook and hotspot issue, which again is on par with our other libraries in the state,
Right.
was Allison, actually, I really want to give her the spotlight. Allison said, we have one person doing kits and another person doing a slightly different version of kits. And then we have these Chromebooks. She said, we don't have a holistic means and technical services to assess their health, their theft, their replacement, their circulation. So Allison, thinking like a technical services superstar, is the one who began this process. So I don't have the answer, John, but I will shortly. Thanks to Allison. I'll know.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay.
I'm glad that we're doing those kind of kits and that they're being used so much. I hope we aren't, having a loss from a financial standpoint of them. We probably would have heard something already if we were.
Correct. I did want to go back to Kay. I was focused on programming when I answered you might have noticed in circulation when we get down there, because you're so right. If I could, and if you would let me, we would only compare all of our statistics to 2021. But alas, you are right. We have to look at 2019. And so while I was very pleased to see, and I have to get to it on my screen here, we are well up from 2021 in circulation, and that's great news. I'm not sure I'm finding it, sorry. But we are, it was something like 20% up from last year, but we're 20-something% down from 2019. Right. Yeah. So we are, what we're doing as a staff, for what it's worth, is meeting quarterly to say, how are we pivoting? What are we doing differently to get back to where we were, but in the 2022 version. So we're hanging a lot on this new communications position. That position closes today. We are getting a lot of interest in that job. It's a 32-hour position, by the way, with full benefits and a hybrid work from home. We definitely posted this as a yummy job, as attractive as we could. But I'm just letting you know, it's not going to be this person's, sole responsibility to increase circulation. But I do believe that they will have the ability to have people remember how fantastic the benefits of what we offer really are. So I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but we're taking those numbers very seriously. But that's a disappointment and a concern, Kay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Any item in the quarterly report?
Please allow me to plug also the admin team, Joanna and Cindy, and it's not because they're here in this meeting right now, which they are. But I hope you noticed on their reports, staff development is going, staff evaluations of their own experience are very high. This is important for staff retention. We're investing in them and they're feeling it. And I also want to say the important things that you wanted us to hire Janet's position for. The longer Joanna and Cindy are here, the more I appreciate things like Laserfiche and document management that have been lightly cared for are now being deeply tended to. So I hope you can see that in the report. And the idea is, it's not only if Cindy wins the lottery and leaves, what happens if Joanna wins the lottery and leaves? So they're getting systems really in order, and in a way I obviously could never have done without them. So kudos to them.
Well, just make sure they don't pool their money and buy tickets together.
Yeah. Stay away from the lottery.
I did know waitresses who did that.
Yeah.
And they won. Yeah.
I've done it with coworkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'll put that in the notes.
Okay.
John, is there any other questions? Are there any other questions I can answer?
I don't have any. Does anyone else? Again, I hope that you were able to work your way through the report. It is somewhat lengthy, But if you focus on the progress items, there's not all that much. And although a lot is being accomplished, I think. So appreciate the report. And
Thank you, sir.
I think the first quarter for many patrons probably was still coming out of COVID. And so we look forward to second, third, fourth quarters continuing to improve. Okay, we will turn to Sarah for the Friends and Foundation report.
Thank you. We have 2 more months until we have our evening with Craig Johnson, and we are getting excited. We have an ambitious goal of selling 273 tickets, which I think I mentioned last time. And the great news is we only have 95 seats left to sell. So we've really made some headway in getting some interest and having our donors join us that evening at the pavilion at the Stanley. So I'm asking of all of the Friends and Foundation board members that all of those tickets are sold by May 15th. There are a lot of details that will take a full month for me to get through to make it a magical evening. So that is my goal, to have those 95 seats sold by May 15th. And that's really all we're talking about right now with the Friends and Foundation.
So I'm getting a lot of questions from the folks I've been talking to.
Yes.
About what is meant by heavy hors d'oeuvres. And the is the program actually starting at 5, or is that when people start arriving?
So that is a changing target, which I'm sending follow-up thank yous in the mail with their actual physical ticket. Of course, I'll have names on the list that they don't need to have that ticket. I'll know who's there. The issue, of course, like always in Estes, is parking. So I'm working on hiring many shuttles to either take these guests from the parking structure or from the library. We haven't quite figured that out yet. So they will arrive hopefully sometime between 4 and 5 o'clock. Heavy hors d'oeuvres is going to look more like a buffet line. And we're calling it heavy hors d'oeuvres because it'll be cold items, but there'll be things like salmon and whatnot. We didn't want to call it a dinner, but it would definitely be my dinner. It'll be beautiful. All of the food is provided by the Stanley. There will be a cash bar. So the first thing we're going to do is everybody's going to sit down. Of course, it'll be a little bit staggered because those shuttles will arrive at different times and that they can go to the buffet when they would like. And then I think right around 6:15 is when we've asked, we're going to take people and have them go to the auditorium, which is just a few steps away, but we're going to do it table by table. So it'll be in an orderly fashion. Does that answer the questions?
Mine.
Okay.
So Sarah, are there assigned tables?
We
Or
are
how
going
many
to
of the
be
tables-
working. We are going to be working on that. I was hoping for a loose assignment, but it seems like our guests, and this has been typical in the past, our guests really want to know where they're supposed to sit. So I will let you know closer to the event how many of the tables will be assigned seating. Maybe all, I mean, a lot of people are buying tables and of course they want to sit with their friends. So that's why we're starting with that.
Right.
Yes.
Sarah, if people are individually getting their own tickets, but they want to be together, how would that work?
Sure, absolutely. So my goal on May 15th is to have all of these 273 guests know that they're coming. And then I'm going to send out an email explaining the parking and also saying, let me know who you want to sit with.
Okay.
And it will take me a full month to make that happen with the table assignments and moving people around. And I mean, we might even have to say, come at 4:15 for a shuttle, come at 4:30 for a shuttle, and really not have people waiting around.
Okay.
I want people to know exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Any other? Yeah, Lynn.
One other question, Sarah. I confess when I went online to try to become a library lover and buy my tickets, I found it confusing.
Okay.
If I need to talk to, do I just go into Cliffhanger? I couldn't figure out how to make
Sure, I'll send you the link. It's a Craig Johnson direct link to buying the tickets.
Right, and
send
I
that
think
to you.
that's what I have. I'll look at it. Okay.
Okay, it has the Craig Johnson's face right on there, and so I'll send that out to you.
Okay.
Because it looks a little bit different than just the membership form
Okay.
that you might be looking at.
That's fine. Okay.
Okay,
And if I can't figure it out, I go to Cliffhanger.
sure, I'd be happy to help,
Okay.
or we can talk it through. Mhm.
Okay. Sorry to be
Oh no,
remedial assistance.
Oh, those are the things that, you know, we all want to know up front. And as Sarah says, she's got a lot of work to get everybody organized on this. So appreciate it. Glad that the ticket sales have gone so well. I'm particularly looking forward to it because I was instrumental in getting him here in 2014. So if you haven't heard, he's one of the absolute best storytellers around. Okay. Anything else on your report, Sarah, you want to emphasize?
We are having a women's club coffee. If any of you would like to join us, whether you're in women's club or not, that will be at 9 a.m. on May 2nd at the library. You can just let Claudine know if you want to join us.
Okay. So Claudine, I think on our agenda, somehow it got put down as 10 o'clock. So it's 9 o'clock. Okay.
It is.
Yes.
It is before the library opens. And
Opens.
they're intentionally having it at that time because at 10 o'clock, the women's club have their board meeting.
Okay.
So they're trying to get as many women's clubs members there as possible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for catching that, John.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. No one has any other questions for Sarah? Okay. I think that covers everything that's on the written agenda. If anyone has any other new business that they wish to bring forward, now is your opportunity to do so. I don't see any efforts to do that. Okay. Upcoming meetings, our board meeting study session for May 5th, that is Cinco de Mayo. I hope you all have a party to go to or have a margarita to drink as your choice. So it's canceled, our meeting. Our regular board meeting will be May 16th, 6:30 in the Hondius room. Other events, as discussed, annual staff development day is this Wednesday, the 20th. And so the library will be closed. I will be joining the staff briefly that morning, but not staying for the entire training and development, as I will be at 10 o'clock on the Zoom for the special districts forum. And as Sarah mentioned, then what's down here, Monday, May 2nd is 9 a.m. Hosting the Women's Club breakfast. Anything else, Claudine?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. If that's the case, it is now 7:54 p.m. Thank you all for your